I wanted to get your opinion on some of the panels on something I've been having a heated discussion with someone about. And it's, if you got time, I could wait till tomorrow if I need to.
No, fire away now while we got a bit of gap. Go on.
Okay. So the one thing we ended up discussing was, in my opinion, you cannot have meteors hitting the face of the moon.
I agree. It has to be coming from Earth.
He was arguing that somehow they hit straight on and got past the Earth.
Have to be coming from Earth if that was true.
I don't. So you agree with me that it's just not plausible?
Correct.
Okay.
How about just really big meteorites being launched like catapults?
All of the meteorite
and timed ignition. Timed ignition when they start falling.
All of the things that we call craters on the moon are all perpendicular to the moon. In other words, they've come from. Bearing in mind it's tidally locked, come from Earth according to what they say. Now I agree that what's caused the moon markings have come from Earth. But it ain't meteorite marks. It's the arc movements. It's the arc scars caused by electro. You know when you have an arc welder and you make the initial strike, and it puts like
Yes, absolutely agree with you.
Wow, that is very perceptive, Nate.
That's total bollocks.
That's a really good one.
That's total bollocks. Why would you? I'm glad we're not live. This will go out.
Because that's what it looks like.
That's because that's what
it's just the pattern.
No. Owen, let's just hear him repeat what that is. Repeat that, Anthony.
When you get an arc welder, and
not
you
that
make
bit,
the
not that bit.
strike,
The last bit you said.
No, that was good.
That's not what. That's the bit. Not the bit. I mean the bit where you said because that's what it looks like.
Yeah, because that's when you look at the moon. What we call craters look like arc welding strikes caused by electromagnetic influence.
That's fascinating.
Like it's been
if I scrunch my curtains in just the right way, I can get them to look like the faces of the dead. So what?
Well, we're talking about the way we see the craters on the moon, and bear in mind that they're all perpendicular, and bear in mind that they don't look like craters for the most part. Some of them do, but most of them look like the welding strikes from an arc welder. That's the way I see them.
So what?
Well, it's just an interpretation.
Okay, just a nice story. Just a nice story.
And where the hell are the
I find it a very interesting
rocks
story
that made the craters? Where the hell are they?
No, it is pattern-wise very much alike. Sorry to talk to you.
I agree. I mean, it's just an interpretation, but I see it more likely that it's been arced from Earth because of a close proximity caused by electric than I do of meteorites that must have come from Earth to create the impacts that we see.
Yeah, but Anthony, that's just absolute conjecture, right?
You can't.
It is, but it's justified
physicality.
It's justified by the fact that all the craters are perpendicular. They look as though they've been impacted straight from Earth.
Yeah,
bearing in mind it's tidally locked.
It's an image, but whatever it is projecting does seem to have that pattern somewhat. So it may be involved in, well, meteor strikes or whatever on. I don't know.
And that doesn't mean
it all depends on what it is we're actually seeing.
That doesn't mean I'm pushing that as truth. I'm just saying that if there were meteorite impacts on the moon, they must have come from Earth because they're all facing us.
Oh God, from a global perspective.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, they always go straight onto the surface. There's no scratching, no scrape strikes. You know what?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
None.
Like they're all perfectly round. Like how is there not one meteor came from some other weird angle and went across the surface, like
and created a Grand Canyon scar on it?
Exactly.
Yeah, like we see in those Star Trek movies. You know?
Yeah. Everything they show you that comes out of the sky, nothing comes straight down. It's always coming at an angle.
Always.
You know, look at that whatever the hell that was that came out that hit in Russia. I can't.
That thing exploded above the city, right?
Yeah, but look at the angle that thing came in.
Hey, can I ask you something?
Hold on.
Yeah, that's a
hold on. Sorry,
type thing.
I don't know why I'm getting so triggered by flat earthers today, but it just seems like you are all talking quite a lot of bollocks. So, this meteor that you say, well,
so
you're all talking about something you've seen on TV.
That's
this
exactly
meteor.
What happened when Kal-El came to Earth?
Say again,
The same
Travis.
thing when his spaceship dragged across the ground. Okay, forget it.
But we're talking about something you saw on TV, right?
No,
and
Travis, you're just a little low. That's all.
I've turned him up. Yeah, you're talking about what you've seen on TV, and what was shown on TV was a dash cam footage from several people that didn't react, that carried on their normal journey. Silence.
Yeah.
Go and watch the dash cam footage again.
No.
Go and watch any of these Russian dash cams.
Nathan, you don't know that they didn't react. Because what are you saying? That they didn't react because none of them crashed? Is that what you're saying?
Well, none of them do a damn thing. They continue driving like nothing's happening. Indicating,
They're
stopping,
Russians.
not mentioning it.
They
No,
don't
no.
care. It's
What
not
you
in their
hear?
culture to care about that.
Well, what would you expect the reaction to be?
Can I just get to the end of a fucking sentence?
Massive cars.
Any chance I can get to the end of my point? Don't worry about it, guys. I'll just forgo this point. I'll just forgo this point then, shall I?
It happens a lot.
Fuck's sake.
Nathan's a victim.
Yeah, I'm getting a bit pissed off. Right, so you've got dash cam footage with not the sound of oh my god, a meteor, but tick 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 of an indicator being recorded. Them making normal turns. Nobody looking up. Nobody saying a damn thing. So you want me to accept what I've seen on TV as actual footage that proves meteors? No.
Well, all I would say is, Nath, my missus has seen some similar, and she didn't crash when she saw it. So what would you expect the reaction that you would observe as the consequence of a meteorite if you were expecting a reaction?
Well, Anthony, I have seen a meteorite, and it was directly above. I was in an apartment complex where there was one apartment and a complex, and there was another apartment complex maybe 100 meters on the other side of us. And this thing looked like it came, and I was like, holy crap, what the hell is that? Is the world ending?
Yeah, I've seen one too.
Yeah, but what were you driving at the time?
No, I was just sitting in the living room looking out the window, and all of a sudden it's like the sun came through. I mean, not that dramatic, but it was a huge light that just went overhead. Maybe.
I mean, I don't dispute that these things do happen, but I don't accept the point that Nathan says that
if you're driving,
it's like
I don't think you're going to stomp.
How would you judge whether
they're
driving? They didn't crash.
Well, I don't know what I'm saying is, I'm not saying it was dramatic.
You'd expect some reaction, right? But to just continue mirror signal maneuver and the only sound on the recording being bloody indicator noises, that to me seems like it's a bit dodge. I'm just saying.
That's fair enough.
Yeah, that does make sense, because you usually would hear like a what the fuck or something.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they're live, and there's also a PayPal link in the info box below the video once it's rendered. But most importantly, if you would like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the shape of the Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel. So please share the show. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate.
I don't think he can hear us.
I love it. Can you guys not hear me?
Listen, the point that you're making about the craters in the moon, I'm telling
Nathan,
you,
could you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you, but
Superman.
I was in the middle of my intro. Can you not hear me anymore? Hello?
Kal-El came to the Earth.
Hello? Technical issues.
Listen, I'm trying to make a point about what I saw.
Hello?
Hello? Trying to do an intro.
She's trying to make a point when...
Trying to make a point. I'm trying to introduce the show. Anyway, we are joined by... I'll run through the list. I don't know if I'll be allowed to talk on my own show to do an introduction or not, but we'll see. Hopefully so. We are joined by Sleeping Warrior, Arwin, Chocolate Saying, Chris, Ian, Brandon, Lairbear, SX, and The Plain Truth. Good to have you all.
And me.
Yo.
And, oh, my bad. I forgot all about Ranty. I didn't even have to mute you during the intro. Well done, Ranty, for not talking all over me. Good to have you all.
Nathan, I've got to ask, can you hear us talking whilst you're doing the intro?
No, of course not.
Oh,
Right.
perfect.
That's okay then. I thought it's okay. I thought right, okay.
It was an experiment.
Yeah, we were talking about you.
Yeah,
Yeah, we were.
No,
We were messing
I
with
very
you
much
while you were
intentionally,
doing
when
it.
I'm doing the introduction, just cut you so I can't hear you, so you're not distracting me. So no, I definitely don't hear you during my intro.
That's okay.
That's too bad.
I didn't think so.
that's good to know. You can keep focused that way.
So
Yeah,
we
if
were,
you're
we were
gonna
talking about the
take-
meteorite then, Nathan, and you were
If you-
saying that you didn't think that it was valid because nobody reacted, yeah?
No, I'm saying I don't believe everything I see on TV.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
But would you believe
Amen to
personal
that.
testimonies?
I've seen shooting stars, right? In my folks, when they lived in Shropshire, it was the lowest light in England, and you got some spectacular stuff. So when people talk about the Great Rift, or about shooting stars, or about the stars in general, I've got a pretty good idea what they look like with the naked eye, having been in very, very dark conditions. And you get to see plenty of things flying through the sky like meteorites. But I wouldn't assert for 1 second that they're chunks of rock that are hitting the ground and making massive explosions in any way, shape, or form. But
So you've never
There we
seen
go.
one up close.
I've seen them go through the sky. I've seen things, massive streaks of light that light the entire sky for a fraction of a second. Amazing. So what?
Right.
Doesn't prove that they're
Yeah,
rocks.
but
Doesn't
you
prove they're hitting the
haven't
ground.
seen anything that would say that they would be approaching you, only like across the sky.
But yeah, well, that bit I do agree with. They always go across the sky in both Armageddon-style movies and with my own vision. So yeah, they go across the sky.
Right.
And they don't ever seem to
Well,
make
we're
contact
talking-
with Earth.
Sorry, we're talking about a different phenomena. It's not that type of shooting star. It is like a thing truly approaching you. You can see it, the light scattering in all directions, like a literal light source. It's like magnesium burning, and it comes down in a diagonal line. It's very amazing to see. And if it goes close, yeah, if it burns up close by enough, you'll hear like a glitter effect. I've
Is it
seen it
brimstone?
multiple times, and the last one was just really close up. But other than that, the bigger ones, I know from a while back, I know a Russian girl, and she says that she sees meteorites like that all the time.
Hey, Nathan, can
Fair
I
So they're
interrupt
used
this
to it.
conversation to give a shout out to the Rumpus,
Yeah,
who
you can.
got kicked out of GeoStreamer's stream last night, thanks to yours truly.
Was he Rumpus in Geo's hangout?
Yeah, they actually ganged up on him and said, "You gotta go," and kicked him out.
That's excellent. So
Oh,
Rumpus is everybody's hangout. I love it.
No, it's beautiful. Even they don't like Rumpus.
Well, you're welcome here, Rumpus, if you can have a conversation, but usually you can't.
He'll turn into a flat
He's
earther
not
to get
capable
friends,
of
won't
that.
he?
Come on, Anthony.
So he rumpused his own friend's hangout and got kicked. Love it.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
Have you got a timestamp? I'd like to watch that.
Well, go ahead and check out. They called it Toy Story after my last name, which is ridiculous.
Oh yeah, I
it's
started to
obvious.
watch that.
Is that why it was called that? It was dedicated to yourself.
Yeah, that was me. Yeah,
Oh, I didn't know
dared
that.
me
I
to
did
join.
puzzle over why
Yeah.
it was called Toy Story.
Yeah, Toy Story. It's a good story.
So yeah, GeoStreamer unfortunately shadow banned me because he didn't like the fact that I was telling his audience that he's a lying sack of shit that's been fed by Soundly.
Yeah,
so are
well,
you saying
I was
that-
calling him I was calling him things like that, and that's why he invited me. So I felt the need to join.
Nathan,
The
you're
hi-
not trying to tell people that he's censoring the truth, are you?
Absolutely, that's what he is doing. So he's trying to cover up his deceit. That's what he's doing with lies and by censoring people.
Oh, and just so you guys know, Brandon is actually one of my Patreons, so big thumbs
Well,
up. Thank
Brand-
you, Brandon.
By virtue of that fact, Ranty was able to go back over to Barrow and do that observation. So shout out to Brandon for doing that. Because
It's my pleasure, man. I help out where I can.
Cool,
Well, what's
man.
your deal then? Are you like a YouTuber then? Have you got videos? What's the score?
No, not really. I mean, I've made a couple of videos just randomly, but mostly I hang out and I'm just getting started. I may make some videos
So why would you get a hangout dedicated to you by GeoStreamer then?
because I was calling him an idiot.
he isn't. He's Betty's bitch. Have you seen Betty's hangout with him? She destroys him and he doesn't even realize it.
Oh, Sly was in there too.
They're not. Yeah,
I mean,
this
no.
is.
He was trying to call me a
Who is it?
fake veteran. It was pretty interesting.
Who are we talking to?
Brandon.
That's Brandon Toy.
Is it Brandon or
okay,
Brendan?
Okay.
Brendan or Brandon?
Brandon.
That sounded like a mix of both.
Yeah, I didn't get which one it was either.
Sorry, guys.
Brendan or Brandon?
Brandon.
Brandon.
Yeah.
Brandon, yeah. I would
Brandon.
I'll answer to anything that starts with a B, within reason.
As long as it's not Toy that you answer to.
No, Toy's fine too. I was Private Toy, Sergeant Toy, so that's fine.
Okay, Toy's easy. I like
Toy's
Toy.
yeah. That's
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Okay, so that's why it was Toy Story. Okay, excellent.
What about Boy Toy?
I've been called that before, Travis. I mean, if that makes you, if you like that, that's fine.
No. I was thinking of Anthony, not me. I was asking for Anthony.
It's for his friend. Get that. That was brilliant. It's not me. I'm not inquiring. It's my friend that's interested.
Oh man.
So I need to ask, because I've asked twice and you've not answered me. Have you seen the hangout where Geostreamer and Betty are in and she batters him and he doesn't even realise it?
Oh no, I haven't seen that. I'll check that out though.
Oh, it's really good. It's really good. Cue Nathan for the plug for John's upcoming show, Nathan.
Yeah, I nearly got it through last time because there was I forgot what happened. Either we were sniped or my computer crashed or whatever. But yeah, definitely on Monday. What day is it today? Sunday.
Yeah,
Sunday's tomorrow. So tomorrow we'll be doing a hangout with John. So Sleeping Warrior, myself, and Quantum Eraser will be basically ripping Geostreamer a new asshole. There's no other way to put it. Followed by immediately afterwards doing the same to Soundly. And I'm going to probably preface this slightly by saying Soundly will get less severe treatment than Geostreamer. And the reason is simple. Geostreamer claims to be an academic. Therefore, he should know better. For your average layman to get some of this stuff wrong, misunderstand it, that's fine. You just explain it to them. Sometimes you have to explain it 10 times. I'm not an academic. I will get it wrong repeatedly. I do get it wrong. It gets held against me. I don't care. Geostreamer should know better. So he's going to get dealt a big fat can of whoop-ass on Monday, followed by Soundly. I intend to do them on separate streams, so they will have separate... they'll be searchable individually, so you can see the demolition of Soundly based on the Foucault pendulum, and then prior to that, it'll be the demolition of Geostreamer. So these guys, they need the harshest of treatment. They are the lowest of the low. They're lying, they're cheating, they're deceiving, they're trying to cover their tracks after they've done all of the above, and they're wrong. Above all else, they don't know what they're talking about. They're getting it wrong repeatedly. And
Intentionally or not,
being demolished by laymen, literally, to the point where they're laughing in their faces, and it's not acceptable for an academic. He needs to apply for a refund from his Tobago University.
Yeah.
All right, so shout out to my Ocean City, New Jersey meetup, because I'm now the gopher. The main organizer forgot some of her setup tools, so I'm on the run to Home Depot to pick some stuff up. So shout out to you guys. Thanks for the first experience of a meetup. It's awesome.
When's your next stand-up?
Where was this meetup?
When are we going to actually see you do a stand-up?
When what?
When are you doing your next stand-up? Your open mics?
Oh, well, it was supposed to be this Tuesday, but because it's Labor Day. Because it's Labor Day, my schedule got pushed back a day, so I'm going to miss this week's open mic at that coffee bar. So it'll be another 2 weeks, and then I don't know. It all depends on when I'm able to hit a karaoke setup again. So
I'll plug it next time you do it.
I'll keep you posted.
Yeah, keep me posted, and I will plug it so that you get some views on your live stream. It'd be good to see it.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thanks.
You got some guts, Travis, going out there in those bars and going on stage.
Yeah, well, half the battle was won because nobody's paying attention anyway. You know what I mean? But it was still nerve-wracking to get up there and do it. So, but
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Keep doing it, brother.
What's Hangout's toolbox useful for? Bear.
Changing your own microphone volume.
Oh, I'm just going through here while y'all are talking, trying to figure all this stuff out.
So you can adjusting your own mic gain.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's how Rumpus can makes himself heard all the time. If you watch, he plays with the control box to make his volume higher.
Who adjusted my volume?
Me. I was just getting you level with everyone else. My intentions when I mess with people's volume is purely to get everyone's level roughly similar.
Nathan's obsessed with volume control.
I wasn't breathing in the mic or anything, was I?
I do. I want everyone to be roughly the same volume.
So what about Travis then, who's like 1 out of 10?
Well, Travis is currently at the absolute maximum he can be, so I can't turn him up any further than he's turned up.
Most of the time, Travis is in a truck. That's why we can't hear him a lot.
That was Chocolate, wasn't it? Muttering.
Yeah, Chocolate's generally quite quiet as well.
Yeah, I've turned him right up now too. But yeah, it's just if you're listening to it and you have to suddenly turn up your iPad or your computer or whatever you're watching on to hear what someone's saying, and then you talk, Anthony, no offence, but obviously you're generally of a good volume, it will blast someone's eardrums out, especially if they're wearing headphones. So I just, I hope it makes the show more listenable by having everyone at roughly the same volume, even if it's the rumpus.
I love the fact that he got kicked out of Gio's Hangout. That's brilliant.
It was beautiful.
Kicked out of Gio's Hangout?
Yeah.
He tried to rumpus Gio's Hangout.
They're kicking each other out now?
Yeah, that's what it's...
Are they rumpusing each other?
No, I think it's just rumpusing everybody. It's rumpus against the world.
Oh my god.
Have you had any feedback, Ranty, on your... I know it's only been a day, but have you had any feedback yet?
From what? The Blackpool Tower one?
Yeah.
Sorry, the Barrow. No, not really. I just had one guy that's just tried trolling, and I just shut him up. But essentially, it's they're avoiding it as usual, the same as last year. They avoided the mirror ball. This year, I imagine they're just going to do the same, and avoid looking into this evidence.
By the way, whilst I got it on my mind, Ranty, Sly Sparkane by proxy has invited you to his hangout through me, and I'm meant to tell you that he's got a hangout. I think it's tonight, and he wants you to go to his channel.
Yeah, I know what it's all about, because they were expecting some flat earther to go and do a debate with Sly tonight, weren't they? So, they're looking for somebody that's done evidence and done their own experiments, so they say, to go and debate them, but I'd have no need to do that.
Yeah, I'm sure they're real interested in hearing your evidence, Ranty.
Well, the problem with Sly is that last time Ranty tried to have the problem with Sly is last time Ranty tried to have a conversation and bring up the curve calcs, they didn't want to do it. Last time I had a conversation with Sly, I predicted that he wouldn't be able to answer a particular question, and when we got to said question, he kicked me on that point. So it's like, how fair is Sly?
Yeah, I asked him the same about the curve calcs last night, and no answer.
So
you tried to bring up the curve calcs too?
Yeah, I did. I said, yeah, of course. Yeah, go listen to it. These guys just danced around. They brought up something I've never even heard of. I'll look it up. I'll tell you guys what it is.
Oh, don't you just love it? It's now reached the point where the tables has turned. And we're not in a position where they're going, look, these curve calcs, look, beg the question. We're now going, oi, globehead, show us your begging the question proof and nothing curve calculator so we can laugh at you.
Yeah, they don't bring the curve calc up anymore since Mick West admitted it was based on a assumptive R.
Ah, bless. Just one less argument for the %. One less piece
and
of
a whole
bullshit.
less of evidence.
Well, they were going to go into the curve calcs on that mirror ball one until they intuitively realised that once they started plugging in the distances and stuff, they were getting near 19 miles observation, height 3 feet. As soon as they started plugging that stuff in, rather than clicking the find out the hidden value, they never did. They never got around to doing that, and they ended the live stream because they didn't want their audience to see that I was seeing the mirror ball that was 45 feet to the top of it. That should have been 170 feet missing. So it just goes to show that they're so dishonest, and they want me to go on the non sequitur show tonight and debate Sly Sparkane. Hell no. Those guys are so dishonest. They'll claim a victory. I could show them six observations.
Why would we go on the non-sex show when Nathan's debate show is here for us to do? So forget that. We're the minority, guys. You should come to us.
Yeah, but I mean, I could literally go there with 6 or 7 or 10 observations, however many observations they want, right? Undeniable proof of flatness, right? And then at the end of the debate, the non sequiturs they'd all pile in, and then it'd be me against 10 of them. They'd claim a victory, and it'd be just, what's the point?
Now,
Because
what
they'll
would happen
just
would be
argue the
Steve
point.
McRae will, no matter what happens, no matter how the hang-up goes, he'll declare the observation void, and that whoever you're against was victorious based on absolute nothing.
Yeah, he'll just call you ridiculous or say something else or change the subject or cut you off. Steve is a total 100% Wikipedian.
I think Jared exposed Steve when he showed his sidekick.
Hey, Ranty, by the way, it was a really good appearance on Dell the other day.
Oh, right, yeah, I went on Dell's last night, didn't I? We were talking about all sorts. 9/11, you name it, Star Force. He wasn't too familiar with Star Force, funnily enough. But I did plug Martin Leakby, because obviously he's found out all this stuff, and it's fascinating to look into. The mud floods, all this kind of stuff. So you know, I was on there for a good couple of hours. It was nice to sort of like bury the hatchet, really, and you know, try and get him to start pulling with us as opposed to pulling against us.
That's a handy little segue, actually, because this morning Anthony got in touch by Skype and was like, check this out from Dell, and played me a clip from Dell in regards to Pete Shea and some of the nonsense that he spews. And Anthony gave me his interpretation, and I said, well, give a proper nod of a tip of the cap to Dell, and then give your interpretation of this. Now, I think I actually named the last show this, but we didn't even cover it, which was discernment. But if you would, Anthony, this is the best segue into that subject, if you ask me.
Yeah, what he did, if you check out Dell's Hangout from last night, and just before the 2-hour mark, like a minute before the 2-hour mark, Dell sees something going on in chat. And I don't know exactly what it was, because he wasn't representing the chat like Nathan does. But it was obviously, they were talking about the Pete Shea thing, about this agent, and they were talking about how these characters are this, but Dell jumped on it, and he said, look, this agent talk, this character talk is nonsense. He said, I don't care what people think of me personally, subjectively. He says, if you don't like my tattoos, you're entitled not to like my tattoos. If you don't like my haircut or the way I present myself, you're entitled to. And I was thinking, this is really, really good. And what he said was, judge me based on my content. He says, judge other people based on their content. Judge Flat Earth based on Flat Earth. He said, because at the end of the day, he says, not everybody floats everybody else's boat, kind of thing. And I'd echo his words. I said, literally, I was gobsmacked when he presented it, because Dell's quite an aggressive guy. He's got very focused opinions. But when he put this into words, it's exactly right. He was saying, don't judge people on what other people say. Judge them on what they do for Flat Earth, because it's this story, this topic, this area of the internet that we're focusing on that is important. And if you're into Flat Earth, judge them on the Flat Earth content. And I agree. Judge people on what they do for Flat Earth. So if they're generally putting out good messages and generally putting out good evidences and good arguments for or against whatever, then that's what you should judge and listen to, right? But if they're putting out this personal stuff, because in Pete Shea's case, transvestigation and all this nonsense, then that's the reflection of the character. So don't judge them based on what you think or what you hear, what they do or say or whatever. Judge them based on what they actually do themselves. So if you're pushing the good story or the truth or the evidences or whatever, then you're doing good things. And think about all the things that, whether you like Patricia or not, she hasn't put a bad word out about anybody. That's what you should be judging Patricia on, not Pete's version of Patricia or somebody else's version of Patricia. Judge her on what you see for yourself, and she doesn't put a foot wrong. She behaves impeccably. She doesn't swear. She doesn't badmouth anybody. She just does the good thing for Flat Earth. And that's what. And I agree with what Dell said. Judge people based on what they do, not what other people say about them, because you may as well believe everything from anybody. That's the reason why we're in this mess in the first place.
Well said.
Retro Bill for the super chat. Much obliged. Thank you very much.
I heard Dell say that. That was cool.
Yeah.
It's true.
I just wanted to say that that Dell actually said to me, he asked me, he said, how's your Blackpool observations gone from last night? So even though we hadn't spoken before, he was actually still following my work. So it just goes to show that even though he might think that at the end of the day I'm a bit of a dick or was a dick in the past, he was still following the work and the progress, because he was realising that, like you say, evidence, as long as it's good evidence, he might not like the character, but he lacks the evidence.
That's the whole thing, though. We're all different human beings. We all have different personalities, and like the dude said, like we don't all float each other's boat. But the whole point is we got to come together because we don't live on a ball.
Yeah,
That's the point. We can get past all the other details later, but let's focus on the people that are still telling us that we live on a magical, spinning, flying water ball. It's ridiculous.
Hey, well said, Chocolate. And I'll just add to that and say that the only thing I care about is, are you telling me the truth or not? And if I can discern that, that's all I care about, the truth.
Yep.
Again, I hate to, this is following on from the break, so I'll plug my own channel. If you want to check out what gets said in the breaks between these shows, then go to Nathan Oakley channel, a space between the letters, not outer space, for any dicks in the comments. Anyway, so in that we had a discussion off air which was about the moon, which is the title of the show, and this will now become clear. So Anthony had me jumping all over him. Sorry, Anthony, because he basically speculated something. Now, the reason I bring it up now is because you mentioned the truth. Well, if you look at definitions of lies and truth, well, Anthony is in no way lying when he puts his speculation on how the craters on the moon came, but that doesn't make it true.
I didn't push it as true.
Well, there's a difference between making mistakes or being incorrect. And
yeah, but let's
lies.
put it in context. I was asked a question for my opinion on whether or not the craters from the moon can be caused by meteorites that have been come from space, and my answer was no. All the craters on the moon appear to be perpendicular. I agree with what Jake said when Flat Earth Asshole was being normal. Them crater marks are not seen sideways. They're not seen as being like scars that go like creating a canyon. They all seem to be pot marks, and they all seem to be perpendicular. Now, bear in mind that the Earth's tidally locked with the moon. Common sense tells you that most of them, if not all of them, must have come from the Earth because it's facing us and they're perpendicular. So my answer to that question was, yeah, they all appear to have come from Earth. Now, causation. I don't accept that meteorites caused it. It looks more like, to me, welder's arcs. It looks when you get a welding rod and you arc it and make that initial contact, you get what looks like an explosion of white swarf, or not swarf, white. It's, I don't know what it is, but it's I think they call it welder's arc when it makes the initial arc. That's what the craters look like to me. Might not be. It's my own opinion, and that's what I was asked for. I wasn't pushing it as truth. I was just expressing my opinion because I was asked a question. So get off your box.
Electrical burn marks.
Yeah, that's what it looks like to me. So get off your soapbox, Nathan.
I kind of agree.
Twice in one show, Arwin.
To me, yeah, but it's the same agreement, I think. But it looks like a 2D surface. It all looks much more like a reflection of some kind, or somehow a projection.
Because it doesn't.
However the visuals work, I don't know.
It doesn't reflect the light the way that a sphere does.
Essentially, though, Anthony, you're making it clear that you're speculating. You're
talking about the moon, by the way. I have an interesting.
No problem.
Hold on, guys. Talking about observation of the moon this morning. The sun. Yeah, unfortunately, I have no P900. Otherwise, I could have filmed it. But I was looking at the sunrise, or it was like 8 o'clock, I think, and the moon was still in the sky. You could draw a line, a virtual line between them, basically. And the moon was tilted. It didn't face the actual sun. It was like 20, 30 degrees off in how the shadow went over the moon. It was so weird to see.
Yeah, I've made this observation on my own channel. I have observations like this on my own channel where that's the case. It's just...
I was gonna ask that, you guys, like, has the moon been looking a little weird the past few days? Like the past week, the moon has been just looking very weird in the sky. Like the way the shadows are going over it, like the way it's tilted, the light coming from it. Like I think it was 2 days ago. Like I was walking by my window and I said, "What the hell is that orange light in the sky?" And I look outside and it's the moon, and it was bright orange. Like I was just like, what the hell? Like I'm used to seeing the moon out there, but it doesn't. It's never looked that orange to me. It was just crazy.
Well, the biggest problem with the moon on the heliocentric model is that the lunar cycle is 27.3 days, and it's split into 4 main quadrants, right? You've got new moon, you've got waxing, waning, well, gibbous, waxing, or whatever the other 2 ones are. But you've got the new moon and the full moon, and they're the most interesting ones. At new moon phase, the moon, for everybody on Earth, goes missing for between 2.5 and 3.5 days. Nobody sees a moon. Now, the argument is, well, it's not receiving any light, so we're seeing the dark side of the moon. But the counter argument is that Soundly claims that he got Earthshine when he got his eclipse pictures, which is nonsense, but it was shown to be fake. But the point is, Earthshine is believed on the heliocentric model to exist. So if Earthshine is a thing, we should see the reverse side of the moon, or at least be able to detect it using techniques. But there doesn't appear to be a moon at new moon phase in the night sky, in the sky for anybody anywhere on Earth, and I find that nonsense. It's almost as if someone's turned it off and it's just no longer there.
Yeah. Where's the dark ball that should be up there?
Yeah, it should be a black disc in the night sky, and that's what we should see, because it should be blocking out the light from the sun, and we don't see that. And it's like, well, why not? Where is the moon at new moon phase? There is no evidence that there is even a moon in the sky. Where is it? Why can't we see it? Why can't we detect it? How do we know it's even there? Because it appears, in my opinion, it appears to pass behind the sun, and that's why it's not getting the light. Crazy, I know, but it does look like it passes behind the sun, in my opinion.
Yeah, and then during the day when the moon's out and you only see half of it, where the hell is the other half? How is it blue? How do you not see the whole moon up there? Like, how is it shadowed like that?
Yeah, well, that's an interesting point, Anthony. I don't know if you remember when the new moon was happening this month. I was talking about it because the Skyview app had them lined up, directly. So
yeah, I do remember you saying that.
So it would be interesting if that's the case, if the moon was behind the sun, and the Sky app is telling me that they're lined up in tandem. That's an interesting reversal of.
Well, when I met Chris Monk-Seeley, the guy that was kicked out of FE Core for whatever reason, and I'm not going to go into the reasons why, it doesn't matter, but the point is, when I met Chris Monk-Seeley, I met him at the Sun and Moon Group, and we were talking about how this North American eclipse from last year was due to take place. And what Sun and Moon Group did was we put out an APB and said, listen, guys, get pictures of this eclipse and pass them to us. Let's see them. And I've still got the images on the computer now. I can provide a Google link to it. But basically, like, there was about 30 people that had sent in their moon pics, or their eclipse pics, and all of them had different. They all had similar P900 style cameras, but they all had different settings. So we were going to get a wide variety of some better, some not so good, all going to get pictures of this moon, this eclipse. And what we were trying to do is prove that there was a moon in the sky, and not a single picture. There was no evidence in any of the pictures. And there was myself, Chris Monk, and Mike Helmick. We were all looking to see whether or not the moon even existed. Could we see evidence that the moon was even in the sky at the time? And we couldn't. We couldn't find any proof or evidence to suggest that the moon was actually in front of the sun. If it was anywhere, it was behind the sun. Now, we all accepted that the moon did cause the blocking of light, but none of us could prove that the moon passed in front of the sun. It appeared that the sun was being blocked its light from behind, and we were getting what we perceive as the eclipse. It was the opposite way around. Now, that's based on not being able to prove that there was a moon there. So my question is always, well, where's the moon at new moon phase? You prove that there's a moon there, and I'll give it you. So they brought up some guy called Thierry Lagarde or whatever. And basically, 3 days, the moon goes missing. On the heliocentric model, that makes absolutely no sense. Where's the moon?
Where's the beef?
I've never heard that brought up, but that is a damn good point, Anthony.
3 days it goes missing. Not anybody, and the thing is, nobody across the world sees it. So wherever the moon is, right? If it was on their model, there should be points where maybe, like, as it flicks around for like 1 degree or so, while you get in the sweet spot, I could see that maybe disappearing. But if you can't see it at that sweet spot of 1 degree, everybody else should see it, because it's only going to be while you line it up at that perfect angle. But for the rest of the time, you should see it because you're on a different angle to being perpendicular behind the sun rays.
Wait,
so there should be a moon.
Is nobody else asking this question?
Yeah,
we've spoken about this before.
Well,
Like,
last 12 months ago, in Sun and Moon Group, that was the thing that was big at the time because of the eclipse. Now, we were all looking at it from the perspective point of parallax, but we were also looking at it from the point of, well, is the moon even there? So we were looking at it from 2 points. The parallax issue was consistent with their model. There was parallax consistent. They did predict it correct, and they did get the level of interaction perfect from England. But the other issue was, well, where's the moon? Because nobody could prove that the moon was even there. Now, the ballers just assume and accept that the moon was there, and it was the way they told us because the parallax position was correct. But we can't
honestly
detect the moon at new moon phase.
Honestly, that bothered me even when I was a Glober. That bothered me. Why don't I see the moon when it's supposed to be up there? It's supposed to be dark. Okay, I get that. It's not in the sun's light, but where is it?
Well,
why
if
is
the
it
moon
not
is
up
too
there?
close to the sun, you just can't see it.
Tranny.
P Mars, get the hell out of here, man.
Hey P,
I think
what's
she's
up, man?
transitioning from
Get the hell out of here.
female.
Hold on. P, was it because you wanted... Yesterday I detected that you wanted to make a gag of this. So is it just that you've got a really good jape that you need to get out?
I seen the evidence Antonio presented.
Hang on a minute. Why are you not even in the back chat?
Okay, somebody kicked
Listen,
him.
I kicked him. I
Someone's
can't
just kicked
stand
him.
I
He
kicked
just
him.
had a joke. He's just got a joke he wants to make. If we don't let him make his joke, he's going to get pissed off. He just wants to get his joke out.
He's
He
a total
was
troll,
going to
Nathan.
reference
He's a child.
Antonio from last night.
He
It's
kicked
a joke
everybody
at
last time. He kicked everybody last time.
Yeah, it's
It's a
he got
joke at
kicked.
somebody else's expense that doesn't deserve the joke. And I don't agree you should be able to do it, to be honest, Nathan.
And he's trying to disrupt like a good conversation with that nonsense.
Sometimes
Get out of here.
He wants to do it on his own hangout.
I think I know P Mars well enough to know that sometimes he knows he recognises that just a little bit of ridicule will make the whole thing a farce, and that's what I think he's trying to do. And it's just not being allowed to do it, despite the fact that we dedicated half a show to it the other day. So I don't know. It might be the case that once he does it, you go, "You bastard, get out." But I don't know.
I'm surprised that you'd even let him get there, Nathan, to be honest.
Why do you think I enjoyed doing it with Pete Shea?
No, I'm surprised you let it go that far.
Right.
No, I can see why he did it with Pete Shea, because Pete Shea genuinely believes it, but P. Mars is here just to troll. When he's talking about that, he's here not to do any good.
How do you know?
Agree.
How do I know?
Well, yeah,
Because I mean, he could have asked a
fun.
question about the moon or something like we were talking about. He went straight
he's
to
making fun of somebody that doesn't
His
deserve it.
hyperactive vibe again, so he was in one of his moods. Either he was gonna spout the N word, and now he found a Patricia trigger thing.
He's like, he needs time out.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not going to
Go
win
in the
this
corner.
one. I like P. I don't know what he was trying to achieve. You're not going to let him achieve it based on your assumptions, and I know none of you like P. Mars, so I'm on my own here.
No, I don't like him. I just think that he adds nothing to the show when he's in one of his gay little moods.
He's entertaining, but he's just a troll, man.
Well, what you call entertaining or troll, I see him representing a certain percentage of society.
No,
What, the
troll,
lunatic?
Nathan. He just
What, the
says
bottom
what
of the
you
bag?
want to hear, man. He's just here to mock us.
Yeah.
All right, let's go back to the moon because I really want to think this through. Okay, so what? Okay, let's say for instance that it is a solid object and it is between us and the sun at that time. What can we say that's an explanation for why we can't see it? Why can't we see it?
I don't know. There is, as far as I can see, there is no explanation on the heliocentric model that would block it out on the approach to the new moon phase. I mean I could imagine it. I could imagine it for one perfect, like 1 degree, whilst you're getting close to a sweet spot that may be there. But ultimately, if it is true, the heliocentric model, that new moon should not exist for 3 days where nobody sees it.
especially if the light that comes from it is coming from the sun.
Well, but it's not.
Like
Not at that. Right. But see, at that moment, the new moon facing us is the dark side of the moon. The only part,
Right.
if it's a sphere, is the 180 degrees that's on the opposite side.
Yeah,
of
but
it.
that's
So-
only for 1 degree. You should still see the arc from where the light that isn't getting caught by the moon is reflecting for us to see.
Doesn't the
should see
moon
it
have a
present.
small atmosphere?
Are you talking about, Anthony? Are you saying like a halo effect?
No, an arc, a crescent. There should be a thin crescent as it approaches the moon, as it approaches the new moon phase, where it gets to the point where it would be an eclipse. If it was bang on with the sun, we should see up to and including that point, it should be a crescent, and then it should go black because it's on the dark side, and then we should see the crescent beginning to appear on the other side. Within a few minutes, maybe 20 minutes, you'll get the crescent on the other side. But we don't. It goes missing for 3 days.
Okay,
Why 3 days?
Yeah,
Not just an hour or so.
Hold on, Mike Martin.
Yeah, that sounds like a dodgy account.
Okay, I kick him up. Good, mate. But yeah, I wanted to make a small point to contribute to the argument, and that is that the moon is supposed to have a very small atmosphere, and atmospheres light up.
It's not the wow, it's supposed to have no atmosphere. That's why the golf ball shot from NASA took place that Jaren's on about.
No, it has very small. It's supposed to have a very small atmosphere. Otherwise, yeah, there would be pure vacuum there. And
I don't think that's true. Have you got any evidence to support that? I'm not calling you on it, but as far as I know, the moon's got no atmosphere.
No whatsoever. With its size,
I believe so.
Not? If the Earth can attract all that atmosphere, then how can the moon?
Do you want me to give you the standard? Do you want me to give you the mainstream rhetoric from NASA?
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, sure.
Is there an atmosphere on the moon? This is from NASA.gov. Until recently, most everyone accepted the conventional wisdom that the moon had virtually no atmosphere, just as discovery of water on the moon transformed our textbook knowledge of Earth, nearest celestial neighbour. Recent studies confirm that our moon does indeed have an atmosphere. Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, that's like the Mandela effect.
Haha! I'm a wizard. I'm a wizard.
When did they discover water on the moon?
The thing is, let's just say, right? I mean, there's an article.
Wait, is that what he said?
There's an article that supports Darwin, and I'll give him the credit for it, right? But the problem is, how do we know that that's true just because it says it in an article?
We don't.
How do we know?
It's science fiction.
It's pure science fiction. It's a bit like when we were arguing about the Cavendish experiment. Doesn't change the fact that what they call space doesn't exist. Doesn't change the fact that it's nothing but rhetoric. It doesn't exclude the fact that they're not presenting any evidence. It's just words from NASA. It's meaningless.
Well,
if the moon has 1/6 the gravity of Earth, why don't we see people just teetering and tottering and falling around? Why does the atmosphere behave exactly like it would on Earth, except lighter? Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it doesn't. But
yeah, but
I was still trying to finish a point.
Go on, Owen.
Sorry, I was trying to finish a point because the moon is supposedly having this light atmosphere. Well, it might be completely eclipsed, darkened, because the sunlight is supposed to be coming from the other side. But yeah, there's an atmosphere, and atmosphere bends light, and it can be like shiny. That's what's supposed to be causing our blue atmosphere. So you're supposed to be seeing something, an anomaly.
Arwin, we can't ascertain whether it has an atmosphere or not. Would you agree?
No, but they say it is. So according to their rules,
supporting your point.
You would probably supposed to be seeing that.
Arwin, would you agree that all that's going to do is lengthen the time it takes for us to not see the moon from maybe a minute or two to maybe 2 minutes, maybe 3 minutes? But why do we not see it for 3 days? That's the question.
No, Anthony,
exactly.
He's backing your point. He's saying that it would be more likely to see with an atmosphere, which is what the standard rhetoric says. So he's backing your point.
Yeah.
We might as well argue about how many angels can fit on the head of a pin. Honestly,
am I correct when I say it? Is it nobody on Earth sees the moon for 3 days?
Correct.
Yep.
That's insane.
It is insane. It makes no logical.
How does no? Yeah, that's not possible.
For me, the moon is proof, and I'm going to say this, I'm going to get called a cultist immediately, but I don't care. I think the moon is proof that we live on a created, intelligent design, something world that somebody has created, because it does defy the laws of physics. Why does it go missing for 3 days?
I absolutely agree with you.
I do.
I think it's there as a big 2 fingers to science.
I think it's a holographic mechanism.
Isn't it?
Hard to argue
with. It works 20 odd days a week, a month. Sorry, it needs 3 days off.
Say that again.
It needs 3 days off every month. How would you like it if we were working for the rest of it?
It's got 24 days of deception, so for the then 3 days it has it off.
Hey, just to add a little bit of brevity here, I do track my my wife's cycles by the phases of the moon. So just FYI. Yeah, I do actually.
It's very
and
common.
how does that work? Does it become reliable?
Very common.
It's very on the mark, brother.
So you're saying your wife's menstrual cycle is linked to the moon?
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely correct. Yeah. Not uncommon.
Well, do you know? Do you know that the police, and this is not difficult to ascertain to be true, but it's a story that the police believe to be true. So it is hearsay and it's anecdotal, but I accept it. When there's a full moon, lunatic is prevalent because crime appears to spike whilst there is a full moon. I don't know why, but police tell me it's true.
I know why.
And lunatic.
Yeah, there's a reason for that. There's a reason for that. So when the moon is full, you can see more. That's the only reason.
No, there's a tension in the air.
Yeah, there is something different in the air. I agree.
No, it's visibility.
I feel differently during
no,
the
it's visibility. It's just visibility.
Everything
you can see more in a full moon. That's it. You can see more. It's clearer. It's easier to get around. You can work. You can do stuff. You can rob people. That's why.
What they don't tell you is that the menstrual cycle and the criminality are linked, and they're all women.
Yeah, probably right.
Perfect.
So, if anybody actually knows why the moon goes missing for 3 days on the when it's new moon, someone tell me what the explanation is on the heliocentric model, because I can't see any explanation for it.
I'd love to know that.
Yeah, I'm good with that. All points bulletin. What is the explanation for the moon going walkabout for 3 days?
Travis, mute yourself, or can I mute you because your background noise is cutting Nathan out?
Blah blah blah.
It's become invisible.
So yeah, that's an all points bulletin. Basically, we'd like to know why it goes missing for 3 days. So if anybody's got a standard rhetoric or a mainstream explanation for this, I'd like to hear it. It would be interesting.
Yeah. And to be fair to Chris, I mean, that was the thing that brought me and Chris together, because like that information that we were researching was incredible. There's no evidence of the moon being in the sky, let alone causing. I mean, the moon did cause the blocking of light. We accept that. But how was it done? Because we couldn't see it. There was no evidence that it was there. And I personally think it passed behind the sun. Call me crazy, but that's what the evidence was telling me to believe or to accept.
Well, the moon a couple of nights ago was bright red at one point for the start of its moonrise. And then it turned into, obviously, its normal colour after that. But I managed to get some images of that.
No, I had it over here. It was freaking bright orange.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, literally made me stop in my tracks as I passed my window. Like, why is there an orange light? Like, from my peripheral, I could see an orange light in the sky. And I'm like, what the hell is that?
We see it.
And I look through the window, and it's the moon. I'm like, it looks like literally an orange in the sky.
This is what Flat Earth's good for, because ordinarily, if you weren't switched on to Flat Earth, you wouldn't even give it another thought. But because
I would have, because I was always interested in the moon. Like, every time I see the moon, I have to look at it. Like, I just feel compelled to somehow.
Yeah, it's like your eyes are magnets to it.
Yeah, especially when it's a full moon.
I am.
Out here in the Midwest, we call that a harvest moon for some reason.
No, the harvest moon is one specific moon. It's at the end of September. But that's another thing that's weird, right? The moon illusion that they tell us, they call it an illusion, right? You watch any of the rising moons, and you tell me that that is an illusion. It's not an illusion we're seeing. It's nonsense. Their explanation for the moon illusion. That moon is physically bigger on the night sky, significantly bigger. But they tell us it's an illusion. It's like, no, it's not. What's causing that? There is no explanation on the heliocentric model that explains the moon illusion. It's nonsense. Utter garbage.
You mean the moon illusion where it looks?
Yeah, you're on Ranty, but
ginormous.
Sorry, bear with me a second. I just need to communicate with Ranty. So yeah, you're being broadcast. Can you just move the Skype window out of the way just so it's nice and clean, and your mouse, generally speaking?
Yeah. So there was a couple of images that I managed to snap of it when it looked this colour. This is the colour. So there it was rising. There's the next image, and then probably around about 15 minutes after that, I noticed that a cloud had passed in front of it, and it looked nice, but it had changed colour again. It had gone to its normal colour.
So why is it changing colour? Has anybody got an explanation for this?
I don't know, but that's what I saw.
You're not serious.
Color in the sky. It was crazy.
Jazz.
You're not fucking serious.
Bye.
Jazz, are you serious?
No, Jazz is gone.
This guy?
Forget Jazz. So does anybody know why the moon changes color? Because I don't see an explanation for that either. Moonlight and sunlight are all the same color, right? It should always be the same color, unless there happens to be like a smog cloud that runs between you and the moon. I can get that, but the moon should never really change color.
Hey, Peanuts.
Can you exclude that?
Hold on one second. Hey, Peanuts. How you doing?
Hey.
Good to have you.
It's me.
No, I can't exclude it. It's the only logical explanation. But I mean, look at it. It's a uniform change of color. It doesn't make logical sense on their model.
Have others photographed this moon at that same time with the same color scheme?
The moon does change color.
Now I know, but I'm just talking about that date.
If I had taken a picture of it, it would have been how long ago was this? 2 days ago, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's when I saw it.
Yeah.
I did take a picture of it, but
so come on, think logically, and on the heliocentric model, what would be the explanation?
Some type of refraction coming from the
sun.
Refraction
based off the tilt of the Earth. Like, come on.
Isn't this where Rahu and Ketu possibly come in?
No,
we're talking about the heliocentric model.
You mocked refraction, but what's wrong with that? So, if it is very low to the horizon, wouldn't you have a potential for the wavelength of the light to change?
Well, is it low to the horizon? Do you see building tops?
Well, I'm asking, is it low to the horizon when you took this picture, Auntie?
It would have been about coming up to 10 o'clock on the. If you was imagining the clock, and 9 o'clock is obviously
the horizon
where it's just rising up, so it would just be before 10 o'clock.
So it is. I mean,
33 degrees.
So yeah, so you're having it is changing its index of light. So yeah.
Yeah, they would say the sunlight's bending off the Earth, hitting the moon.
Next time,
no, but pollution coloring is very much. It's like beneath the 10%, the 10 degrees.
But when I saw it, it wasn't at that. When I saw it, it was higher. It wasn't at 10 o'clock from my position.
Well, it excludes pollution coloring at least.
But even
then again, I'm in New York, and you're guys over there, so I don't know.
Why would it refract different?
That was my next question.
Yeah.
Even if you accept the refraction point, why does that explain the change in color?
Pollution. It does it.
I don't know.
Well, hold on.
Pollution does not explain it.
No. You're asking for what the mainstream would explain.
Phenomena.
Well, hold on. So you're asking what the mainstream how the mainstream would explain the color change. Well, they've got standard terrestrial refraction, 76R, bending the light, and if you're close to the horizon, that refraction is going to be at its maximum. Therefore, it's going to change the index. That would be their. I'm guessing that would be their explanation.
Yeah, but I mean in reality, Nathan.
No.
You said it as though you were accepting their explanation. My question is, if it changes the refraction of the light that bends it, it doesn't change the color.
Yeah, it would change the index of light. If you can bend it, you can change the waveform and make it longer, therefore make it red or orange.
Yeah, right, who's cutting Nathan's mic off?
Sorry, that's me. Sorry.
Ranty, real quick, hold on. Next time, shoot it in video so that we can see the transition.
Well, that's what happened with the harvest moon. When the harvest moon happens at the end of September. Listen. What at the end of September with the harvest moon, you will literally observe it rising over the horizon, and it's huge. But you will also see it literally change its size, shrink back down to a normal size, and change its color. It'll go from this reddy orangey color to this like yellowy white color, and you will watch it literally do it. And then you ask yourself, how's that explained on their model? It makes absolutely no sense.
Yeah, but Anthony, I've seen that already like once or twice this year. It's not just end of September.
No, I know it's not, but you see it the most prevalent when it's in the harvest moon, as far as I'm aware, because the harvest moon is much bigger and it's much more different color, and you can watch it transform back to its normal self before your very eyes in about 20 minutes. You can just sit there and watch it, and it's like, how is that explained on their model? That is utter garbage.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's utter garbage.
I wanted to respond to Nathan's comment about what the mainstream media would say, and I don't think they're gonna use refraction as a reason for discoloration near the horizon. What they say is that certain particles, especially smoke particles, will cause a discoloration.
Yeah, but why would the smoke
observer and where these particles are at, and that happens to the sun as well.
Sure, but why would the smoke only be there that one day and not every day?
Hold on, the same reason sometimes the sunset will look extremely orange as opposed to like the diminishing yellow, whitish. Because sometimes the sun's like I look in the sky and the sun is the light just looks insanely orange, like this sun. I mean, like this moon right here. So I don't know. Maybe they'll try to use the same excuse, like.
Yeah, but that just shows a pattern. That shows a pattern. So it's not just happenstance. It's not just.
No, but I'm not trying to tie it in with this red moon phenomena. Just saying that is concerning low-angle celestial bodies. The sun and the moon have discolorations due to particles in the air discoloring it, the vision.
If it was the cause the way they're telling us, it would happen every time there's a moon rise, and it doesn't.
Okay, but I'm gonna stick it out there. So there's a timestamp. If you're gonna answer this question in the chat on the re-upload on Nathan Oakley 1980, just put the timestamp of 53. So write 53:00, and then put your explanation, globe head specific. So if you're a believer in the spinning ball Earth, it's all nonsense. It's not real. But if you're the believer of that, tell us why you think it turns orange.
Okay, but Arwen, real quick though, the problem I think with the pollution issue is it's cyclical. You have the same pollution every single month.
No, that's not true.
No, it is true, Arwen. It's the same.
It isn't true. No, the big polluters.
Arwen, listen.
Factories don't always run.
Arwen, listen.
Always do the same processes.
Arwen, just listen. If the pollution argument was true, that means that they're telling us that on one particular day, for some reason, there's an unacceptably high level of pollution. That's garbage.
No, yeah, because I saw this moon 2 days ago, and Ranty took this picture 2 days ago. And I'm in New York. Ranty's
not toxic.
Don't speak over him, Arwen. Let him finish.
No, I was just gonna say, like, I mean, let's say that was the case, but I saw the same moon. From where I saw it was higher in the sky, obviously, but I'm over here in New York, and Ranty's on the other side of the ocean. So, I mean, that's some pollution we're talking about. If that's the case.
You know what I'm not claiming that it is that. It's definitely not caused by pollution. I'm just talking about the 10-degree angle.
Is Arwen arguing if this is a natural or a man-made phenomenon?
No, it's definitely natural.
No. He's arguing what would the mainstream spin be on this? Like, what would they say that is the cause of this?
I'm counter-arguing that if you believe that the mainstream explanation of pollution is anything to explain what we see, then you're going to believe anything that they tell you.
Yeah.
It would be the last resort I could think of. Like, oh yeah, it's pollution, because it kind of does look like that a little when it's really polluted. When the factories running all their shit, and then when the moon does pass behind it, close by the horizon, it will look any color you can imagine, pretty much in the red spectrum. Yellow,
and like not even just the color too. In the past week, like the way the shadow, every time the clouds go over the moon, like just the way the shadows look over it, I don't know, something's been really weird about the moon past few days.
Yeah, but we are coming up to
It's always been weird.
It has, but
has anyone noticed how bright Mars has been?
Yes, I was gonna say that too. Like ridiculously red.
Yeah,
I saw that.
Like just a red dot in the sky. Like
it makes me think of blood.
Yeah, I don't know.
Are you all right? Was that transforming into a vampire?
I see Mars.
Hey guys, sorry to interrupt. I got to drop off. Good talking to you guys. Peace out.
Yeah, no doubt,
All
man.
right, talk to you later, Brandon.
Been good having you.
So yeah,
By
that
the
was
way,
what I saw when I
just
was doing the observation over at Barrow. So I'm glad I actually took these images, to be fair.
just for the benefit of everybody else, when it comes to that question, what's the explanation for either it going missing for 3 days and or changing the colour? When we did this last year or the year before with Sun and Moon Group, there was no explanation. Nobody came back with anything. So I don't really expect there to be a response. But if there is an explanation for it, it's going to have to be bloody good.
I would love to hear it and debate it out because, yeah, I don't think this thing should just disappear. That nobody on Earth can see the moon for 3 days.
3 days.
How on earth does that make sense if it's just a big rock floating in the sky?
Everyone except Aaron Raw.
What's really interesting is if you watch what happens for it to disappear, it fades out as though someone's turning the dim switch round. And then when it comes back to visibility, it comes back in as though it's being dimmed back up. Like it's like a living room light on the dim switch in the 70s. It's like someone's turning the dim switch down and then turning it back up again. And it's gradually losing its light from somewhere. It's as if it runs out of fuel. It's bizarre.
Maybe
but then
it's
sometimes
Lilith.
you see the other half that's not lit up, and then sometimes you don't see the other half. Like, what the hell is that about? You guys know what I mean? Like the side that's shaded, that's supposedly not quote unquote in the sunlight, right? That part sometimes you can see
Correct.
the rest of the ball, and sometimes you can't. Sometimes it's just
when you see it, they call it Earthshine. When you don't see it, no explanation for it.
Yeah. Yeah, so it'd be interesting to find out when that term came into existence. You know, there's all these different anomalies, like we were talking about earlier. Arwen was talking about something, and
Lilith.
Huh?
Lilith is the disk that makes the moon disappear for 3 days.
I agree.
No, but what I mean is that we were talking about something, and it seemed like it was a new explanation that we hadn't heard before. Like just say Earthshine. Like when I was in school, I didn't hear about Earthshine. So when did this phenomenon become?
When sound came into flat Earth.
You know, so
yeah, you're right. I never heard about that when I was a kid. I don't remember reading about that or learning about Earthshine.
Yeah, but this is where you have to introduce the term Lilith, because Arwen brings up a really good point. There is an extra celestial body that we don't get told about called Lilith. It's known as the Black Moon. It's documented in Raphael's Ephemeris every year. They know where it is. They don't know what it is, and we certainly don't get told about it. So check out Lilith, the Black Moon. No one knows what it is, but we're not getting told that there is an extra celestial body up there.
And is
almost
that
like Rahu and Ketu.
Is that
Hold on,
different than
Stiggy.
Ketu and Rahu?
Hold on, Stiggy. Speak up.
How you doing?
Yo.
Continue.
So is Lilith different than Rahu and Ketu?
Yes.
Well, Lilith could be Rahu and Ketu. But
no,
it may not be. But yeah, you are right. It is different.
No, it doesn't have the same cycle. It can't be in the same frame.
And is that the black hole sun? Is that what that is?
They call it the Black Moon. Whatever, you can interpret that any way you want, but I don't know what they call it. The Black Moon.
Yeah. Rahu is for the sun. Lilith is for the moon.
But either way, we don't get told
it's their occulting discs.
And it's not on the heliocentric model.
And it can't occult other things. Very important to note.
And it's not just a mythological... So if you look up Lilith, you'll see...
No, if you look up Lilith, you will find a mythological thing that's to do with sex in some way. I can't remember the explanation for it, but Lilith is actually a black moon. And you can just look up Raphael's Ephemeris and then type in the current year. And then look at the front cover, and it'll say, including in the Black Moon Lilith. And it's like, what Black Moon? Not there on their model.
Right, but who's the source? What agency is the source?
Raphael's Ephemeris, the publication known as Raphael's Ephemeris.
And that's a peer accepted source, perhaps?
Yeah, it's got all the data for all of the main celestial bodies in there, and for some reason the Black Moon Lilith makes it into the main celestial bodies, and I have no idea what it is or why, but it's in there.
Okay.
We've been joined by...
Can we at least agree that, sometimes these signs, mean something?
Yeah, absolutely. They mean that we don't know what we're living in.
I agree with that.
We've been joined by Stiggy. And
most
hoping...
physicality.
We've been joined by Stiggy. How you doing, Stiggy?
I'm doing wonderful. I'm in Temecula in California. I'm going to do some hot air ballooning.
Cool. You're in Temecula?
Yes, in the wine country.
That's got to be the best town name I've ever heard. Temecula. It sounds like a body part or something.
Well, yeah, very could much be, but it's known for wine out here and hot air ballooning, and I can't wait.
You got to look up my high school nemesis, Scott O'Neill. He lives in Temecula. You got to go hassle him.
That's the best town name I've ever heard.
So you have a P900 you're taking up in that balloon with you?
No, I don't. I wish I did, but yeah, it'll be the first time I'm up that high, and with a 360 view like that. I think.
Are you gonna phone stream it?
I will be taking a lot of footage. I'm trying to do a video on the moon and how the just going back to the moon, but yeah, how the heliocentrics believe that the moon is a chunk of Earth. I think that really gets them stuttering because they don't know, they don't want to believe it because they know how absurd it is. So when they say, "Oh, the moon's not a hologram," but then they'll say it is a literal chunk of Earth, that blows my mind. You know?
No, but that's the whole the formation theory of how the galaxy is supposed to have formed, and that's how they consider that.
Yeah, but the thing is if the Earth was a sphere, and then the moon hit or a piece of debris hit the Earth, then a chunk of Earth came out. Where did the first debris come from? Where did it go? And then the chunk.
It was supposedly like some other huge body that came and hit the Earth, and then as it hit, that's what they said.
That's the theory.
I remember seeing.
That is what they say.
I remember seeing this on like the Universe, one of those History Channel documentaries, and some giant body came and hit the Earth.
Got a name.
And then
it's called?
Maybe when the whole thing was still gathering dust.
The piece that got knocked off from the Earth just coalesced into a ball and then started, because of gravity, just started orbiting the Earth. Like,
correct.
So that's basically the story of how the moon got there.
Yeah, it's called
was this after the formation?
It's called Theia. So essentially, a planet called Theia was orbiting, and there was a smaller version of Earth with a considerably smaller iron core. And then, what do you know? Theia smashes into Earth at a glancing blow. So it doesn't destroy Earth, but in essence deposits another molten iron core into Earth. So it's like two Cadbury's cream eggs being smashed into each other. But what actually happens is the surface layer of Earth is smashed into a million pieces and goes all out into all different directions. But magically, the gravity makes it coalesce into the moon. So in essence, the moon is Earth, just the top layer. And Theia is now part of Earth, giving us the extra big core that's kept us warm for all this time. Isn't it amazing? Total bollocks.
That would mean that gravity would have
That's a really good story.
A lovely story, isn't
That's the story, man. You've never seen, like, pull up a history, like the History Channel.
No, they didn't teach me this in school.
Listen, man, pull up the History Channel or one of those documentaries like The Universe. Go on Netflix,
Really
watch
well
one of those.
I like
Oh
it.
my God, it's insane, man.
It's beautiful.
And even when I was a
fiction.
Glober, I was just like, this is fascinating, but that doesn't seem like like, how does that work?
Oh, that's what science.
What?
It's a fairy tale.
What I want to do at this point, I want to tell everybody about one of my most most reliable, most consistent trolls. His name's Jeroen Vasterbluer or something like that, and he keeps challenging me on something I said when I was on Patricia's show, which is to do with the harvest moon, and it's coming up at the end of September. What I'm going to do is Plane.
No, I'm breaking up.
Okay, sorry.
This was my moment, Plane. Hang on, he's on mute. What I want to do is just ask people, when it comes to the harvest moon at the end of September, to help me document what happens. Because I may not get... Last year, I tried to do it and I got clouded out. It was total cloud coverage for me and I couldn't get it. But basically, get to where the moon rises in the east. Get to a high vantage point so that you're not obstructed by trees and buildings and whatnot. And just record the moon rising. But don't change your focal length on your camera. Keep the zoom the way it is. Whatever zoom level you've got it on at the beginning, keep it on. and basically watch it for the next 20 minutes and watch what happens. And you will literally watch it shrink back down to its normal size, and it'll change back color. Now, I don't know why it does it, but he's been bugging me for ages. And it's to be honest, it's fair because I did make the claim and I will stand by it. But I don't want to get clouded out again.
Did you give a value to how many sizes bigger the moon actually was at that time?
Yeah, because I want the explanation. I want to know why it does it, because it makes no logical sense. The moon illusion doesn't explain it, and it doesn't explain the change in color. But try and record the harvest moon as it rises over the horizon, and then watch for the transition as it goes back to normal. And then somebody explain how that makes any sense logically on their model, because it doesn't. Utter nonsense.
Did you say 8 times bigger?
Yeah, it's massive. I mean, maybe not 8. It might be 6 or it might be 7.2, but it's huge. But what I want is just people to look at the moon when it rises on the harvest moon and document it, but don't change the zoom. Because if we can get multiple people doing it, then it's going to make it easier if I don't get it, because I don't want him moaning at me for the next 12 months while I didn't get it, because I didn't get it last year. But ultimately, the question is, why does it do it on their model? Because it doesn't make any sense. It should be consistent. There should be negligible changes because it's supposed to be a fixed distance. But when you watch it, you'll look at it and you'll go, the only explanation is that the moon is zooming towards us, or somebody's changing the focal length on the projector. So, you know, when you have a projector like projecting onto a wall and you can change the length of the lens and it changes how small or big it goes, that looks like what you're looking at. It looks like a projection. Like Nathan's got a projector on in his living room, and he can change the focal length on the lens.
Okay, so when's this happening?
It just looks too big.
Yeah, way too big. We should never notice.
Sometimes it looks like a tiny little dot. Like, how is there that much fluctuation in the orbit of the moon?
We should never notice. We should never notice the difference in perigee and apogee. It should be indetectable to the human eye because it's negligible. It's so small you shouldn't notice it. But whatever goes on when the moon rises on that harvest moon, it's crazy. It makes no sense on their model whatsoever. So if anybody's out there that's interested, try and get it captured for me, but don't change the zoom. Once you got it in the frame, keep it at that zoom, and then just watch for the next 20 minutes. Watch what happens, and you will literally see it shrink. And you will literally see it change color, goes from like an orangey reddy color back to a yellowy white color. Makes no sense, and they know that's a cyclical thing as well. It's nothing to do with the position of the moon or whatever. Something else is, in my opinion, something else is going on, and I can't explain it, but I just noticed that it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. I mean, have you guys seen though, like on the horizon, where the sun and moon both are kind of larger, and then they shrink as they go towards zenith?
Yeah, look at Deep Inside the Rabbit's most recent couple of videos. He documents that brilliantly.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it makes sense that maybe you're looking through more layers of air and the magnification on the horizon. So you're seeing a bigger sun and moon, but really it's not that much. It's still the same size, but it's just magnifying sort of the effect. And then when it comes up overhead, you're not seeing through as much air. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's like when the sun sets here locally. I mean, the sun in the sky can be, say, the size of a penny piece, and when you actually watch it apparently setting on the horizon, it looks massive. It looks like a 50p piece. It's easily 2 or 3 times larger. And that's why I think it's just a lens.
When you see the harvest moon, you'll be like, wow, whatever's going on there. Explain that, morons.
Hey, Ranty, let me ask you a question real quick, because I was just on the beach and I was shooting out on the horizon, and so I could just barely see this sailboat, and I zoomed into it, and I could see it full on, but what do you think the distance is with a fully zoomed P900?
To a small sailboat, did you say?
Yeah, I mean, like when I looked at it with my eye, it looked like an absolute, just like a small little insect, like a flea. I could see it, but I could just barely see it. So my question is,
at least probably
like,
8 miles away. Then
what is the distance that would be?
Yeah, it's at least probably 8 miles.
Huh?
I'm
8 miles.
Searching it. I can't find any footage of harvest moon transitions whatsoever.
All right. Well, we were just talking about something
example.
else. Hold on. We're just talking about something else.
Try again, Ranty.
I guess my question is shouldn't there be some kind of maybe consensus on what the extent of the P900's zoom is? Like it'll say we know that it can zoom in on something X amount of miles away, because I couldn't go any further, and the ship was only, so big. I don't know. I'm just trying to figure out what the distance would be for a ship that's a sailboat, that's a normal size sailboat, and for it to be that size, is that 10 miles out?
Yeah, easily 8 to 10 miles, I would say, if not more. But I will say that it does have a limit. I mean, when I was down filming the Big Wheel, which is a 106 feet across, I would say that I had to have it on full zoom plus going into the digital. So, I mean, that was to just fill up the frame with it. So, yeah, I would say probably around about 12 miles at a push.
Yeah, but that's not going to suffice for an explanation because, we don't have actual proof that it was 12 miles or 10 miles.
What trips me up is the P900 footage of the moon where it just looks so close. Like, I don't understand how something that's 240,000 miles away can be zoomed in on by a P900 that close. I'm sorry that I just don't buy it.
And NASA tell us that the size of like the biggest crater or one of the big craters is only 40 miles across. So they're telling us that we can see 40 miles with the naked eye, and when you zoom into it with the P900, it looks like the size of a volcano kind of thing. Like, this makes absolutely no sense.
Nope.
Travis.
Poor Travis.
I muted, okay? I muted.
You wasn't before you muted, though, was you?
Well, I got distracted. I'm trying to find a parking space.
Do it quietly, then.
Hey, have y'all already mentioned the $10,000 baller challenge?
No. But the problem with that baller challenge, do you want to explain what it is before I attack it?
You may know more than I do. All I know is that if somebody can either prove curvature or if they can prove rotation, one or the other, they'll get $10,000. If they can prove curvature and motion, they'll get $50,000.
Who is sponsoring this?
His name is Jay Disby. I can't pronounce his last name.
The problem is all the ballers think that they prove it, right? What level of proof do we accept is proof? Because if you ask people like the Rumpus, it's the whole body of science, Nathan. So it's like, well, what is the standard of proof that we accept is the standard of proof? Because they all believe they can prove it, right, with Pontchartrain. So how do you argue? What you're going to do is open yourself up to a million arguments that are all based on crap evidence, but they all believe that it's true.
So one of the ways that you have to get it is the person offering the money, they have to be able to replicate what the baller presented, and then if that replicates 100% ball or rotation, then he'll give him the money.
Oh, is that why nobody's won it yet? How long has this been on?
Not even a week.
Should have been won 10 times over already by now. I mean, we live on the ball, right? The body is science, Nathan.
We need to find that clip from Bumpus.
Can you share my screen, Nate?
I understand where Anthony's coming from.
You are, Auntie.
Okay, guys, can you look at this image of the moon? This is what I took from Hoy Lake when I went and I was with Anthony the first time we went to... Sorry, not Hoy Lake, to St. Bees. First time we went to St. Bees. But if you imagine that the moon is getting its light on the right-hand side, yeah? So somewhere over here is the light source, yeah? Well, on the other side of the moon, there shouldn't be any light source, but yet there's these craters over here, this area over here, that clearly is lit up.
Right.
How can that be? How can that be lit up there and this lit up here, right? When the light source is on the other side.
Looming.
Refraction, looming. It's an illusion.
Yeah, you know,
wouldn't that appear that it's more flat than round?
The
Like
craters
it
at
is-
the bottom, to me, look more like they're a wrapped image around a spherical thing than they look like actual craters.
You took this picture, Randy?
I did, yeah.
That's amazing clarity.
That's good.
Why does the bottom of the moon look like an
That's
egg?
what I'm talking about. This thing is 240,000 miles away. Come on, man.
This wasn't even in full zoom either. I mean, look at this. Look at this. This wasn't even in full zoom.
Is that just the way the camera takes the picture?
Well, no, you have to fiddle around with the settings, but essentially,
okay,
yeah.
Okay,
I mean,
so you changed it after.
No, I didn't change it after. This is what came off the camera as it is. This is up here, DSCN 2941. It's a JPEG. It's not been altered.
You guys notice that the moon rotates, right? Like you see the shadows orientated in different ways sometimes. You guys notice that too?
Yeah.
Can you move
when you
your,
see the rotation,
can you move your Skype thing, Branty?
Yeah, like the face of it like goes counterclockwise. Like those two the little shadows that are on the right towards the 3 o'clock position. I've seen that like on the other side of the moon pointing upwards. Like somebody took the moon and spun it counterclockwise, basically. Like I've seen that with my own eyes. Like I'm just like, what the hell? How is it doing that?
If you think about the tidal locking position of the moon, right? We always see the same face of the moon. You're all aware that it rotates like a Catherine wheel over the night sky as it goes past us. That in itself is a proof of flat Earth because it can't do that on the heliocentric model. It can't do it. Now they'll give you an explanation for it, but if you think about it, the way they explain it, it can't work for everybody on the Earth. But everybody sees the moon rotate by half of one spin as it goes over the night sky. It's proof of flat Earth.
The moon is so weird.
I also think I think it's interesting too, though, that they say the moon is a big chunk of rock, right? But then if you look at night, the column of light, like on water, is exactly the same as the sun produces. They're the same size. Even the shadows that a full moon projects, or when the light projects, the shadows coming off of objects are the same size as the sun. So, and I even asked Sly Sparsgane or whatever that foolish man's name is to light a rock so bright that it reflects onto water a column of light back to the source. You can't do it.
It's basically making its own light.
Yeah, there could be some other reason, but the fact that I see that the shadows are the same size, and so is the column of light, and moon also has crepuscular rays. To me, it's not showing. Yeah, a rock is being lit so brightly, but then that rock is reflecting back to us 235,000 miles to show a perfect column of light.
And do you know what's the other thing that's really interesting about a solar eclipse? There's missing evidence that's required for an eclipse, a solar eclipse, the way they tell us, because when an object passes in front of another object, Bob, it's got to be a dodgy account, that. When an object passes in front of a main light source like the sun, it creates something called a Poisson's spot. And if you look at what a Poisson's spot is, basically it gives a focal point of light in the middle of the shade that's being cast, where for some reason there is light getting into the middle of the cast shadow, and we do not see a Poisson's spot. So basically, in the middle of the shadow on Earth, you should see sunlight when everybody else sees it as shade, and we don't get that.
To do with like a fisheye kind of deal, because I know poisson is fish in French.
I don't know. Poisson is the surname of the guy that discovered it. I don't know exactly what it is. But look up Poisson's spot and then tell me why we don't see that on the Earth if it's the way we're told, because we should see a Poisson spot.
Looks like there's a little man in the moon there.
So are those dark spots? Is that shadow?
They say the dark spots, the heliocentric model says the Maria marks, the dark spots on the moon, are caused by old volcanoes. If that's what you're talking about, which is absurd.
And my question with the eclipse is, where is the moon before it and after it?
Yeah, 3 days.
No, I mean with the eclipse itself. I don't see
I
didn't see the moon. Yeah, the solar eclipse.
Yeah, it goes missing for 3 days.
Yeah. Where the hell is it?
No idea.
Shouldn't it be right there, like about to be in front of the sun? Okay, now it's in front of the sun. Okay, now it's not in front of the sun. Shouldn't it look like that? How do I just see a black shadow just creeping over the sun, and then that disappears, and then there's no moon?
The only time it should go missing is when it's at totality, right? That I can understand. But for 3 days, it goes missing for every single person on the earth. How? That makes no sense. And I'm not accepting that just because you don't understand it doesn't mean it's not true. Bullshit. Demonstrate it.
Yeah, bullshit. It's a big rock in the sky. Should be up there.
Yeah. And we should be able to detect it. We should be able to put some way of proving that it is actually there. And there just doesn't seem to be a decent explanation for it.
At all.
I think the 70-mile shadow says a lot.
Yeah, I agree.
Yep.
Walk next to a building and try to make your shadow
smaller.
It's just not going to happen.
Yeah. And the idea of the umbra and penumbra is nonsense, because the umbra part is the only bit where there's a real shadow. The penumbra part is the bit around the edge. Well, that bit around the edge is still getting light from the sun. So you wouldn't get half a shadow. You get a shadow or a no shadow. You don't get half a shadow. So it's that idea is nonsense as well.
Yeah, I think it's funny too that they say the Earth causes a shadow on the moon, right? There's a giant shadow that it should always be there. But then you'll have the same people say, well, I can see satellites in the dark. But it's like, well, what's the light you're seeing if these satellites are going through the shadow of Earth?
Exactly.
How are you seeing a reflection? You know, you can't have it both ways.
Yeah.
But I think this is why this continues, is because the answers we're given are so vague and the evidence provided is so weak that, yeah, of course we're going to keep questioning, and we're not going to, stick to this answer as, yeah, the moon's a chunk of Earth. Well, we need more,
Ranty,
and that's why it's good.
Ranty, can you slow down? Can you go back to these images? And you're flicking through them at a hell of a rate, but it'd be good images. It's just nice to have them on screen for a few seconds each at least.
Well, this is what I was saying about how big the sun appears when it goes down at night, or when we lose the light. And you can see how, it's ginormous. It literally is ginormous. What we're looking at here at the top, this really bright part, I would say this part is about the size of the sun that we see during the day.
Hold on, Ranty. Hold on. Hey, BBG2S. How you doing? Can you say hello? No, you've muted yourself.
Hello.
Hello.
Did he speak then?
No, he's
no. That was me.
No, I kicked him because you can't trust him for too long, Nathan. If they don't speak, they got to go. Nathan, when Ranty makes this point now, you need to play Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole's most recent video. It's fantastic for the sun. It just shits all over their argument that the sun doesn't change its angular size.
I can't cue it because I've got Skype up on that. I've only got 2 screens and they're all full. So if you can bring it up, I'll screen share.
Yeah. So, yeah, I see the sun about from where my cursor is now, right there, to around about here. That's the size of the sun that I see in my location. And when we lose the sun's light, this is what we get at sunset. We get this massive lensing effect that people will look at this and think, oh, look at the sun setting, but it's grown about 4 times or 5 times its size. It's absolutely massive. And so what I'm thinking is obviously the sun is just going further away, and this is just the lensing effect that's happening afterwards as it goes lower into the atmosphere.
That's what I think too.
I agree. Hello, long time no see. How you doing?
That is me. Yeah, all good, mate. It's me, yeah.
If you ever get a chance to go on an airplane, if you have any solar glasses, I happened to go on an airplane and took some solar glasses, and the sun actually looked a lot bigger from an airplane, the diameter. You can't just go based off of what I say. But
yet when you see high altitude balloon footage, the sun looks like a pinprick in the sky instead of a big ball.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Yeah, I noticed too, when you do see those high altitude balloon footages, sometimes you see the sun far away and sometimes you see it, right overhead. And so, yeah, it goes to show, just because, and the light is getting dimmer as it goes. So that's another indication for me that, Yeah, why would a light that's out there 95 million miles away, I mean, get dimmer? You know what I mean?
Yeah, Nathan, do you want to present my screen, please?
Sure.
This is Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole's most recent video. Actually, it's his second most recent video, The Fool on the Hill. Basically, if you see a sunset at elevation in a dry, arid environment, you do not see the sun doing what we see it doing. The sun changes its apparent size. Now, I know what you're going to all say. Yeah, where's the solar filter? But even without a solar filter, the sun cannot do this on your model. It does not do this. It's consistent all the time on your model. So what's the explanation for this?
I tell Globers about this, and they don't believe me. When I tell them to look at this, they don't even pay attention to it.
No, they won't do, because they'll shy away from key evidence that doesn't support their position. It's like Sean Hufford right now. Sean Hufford will not accept that GeoStreamer and Soundly were having a one-to-one hangout, and he insists on moving the goalposts and arguing about whose microphone picked up the noise. I don't care. This is key evidence that does not support the heliocentric model. The sun cannot do this on a sphere that's rotating.
I'm going to use that as a bit of an opportunity actually to plug Monday's show. I've plugged it a few times already, but on Monday, so tomorrow, which will be, is it the 3rd, I think, we will be basically ripping GeoStreamer a new one. He's going to get this most severe treatment out of him and Soundly. They'll be on separate shows, one after the next. First GeoStreamer will get handled, and then Soundly. But GeoStreamer will get the far more severe of the two, as he is considering himself an academic. So that will be the reason why. But yeah, tune in. So it'll be myself, Anthony, and John, otherwise known as Quantum Eraser. So be sure to tune in to that on Monday.
Look, this video, it clearly looks like the sun is just going away.
And the key difference is this is in dry environments at elevation. Now, if the Earth really is doing what they tell us, it should be the same no matter what elevation you're at, no matter where you're at. So whatever's going on with the sun, this is proof that not only is it not doing the orbiting thing, the rotation thing, it's also proof that whatever we see is caused by the low, dense layer of air that we all have to live in. It's not caused by the sun, by the Earth rotating.
Look at this.
Yeah, I fully agree. I think when I first took those images from, that I was just displaying there, the first thing I was talking about.
How is that possible?
Well, it isn't, is it? It's not. It doesn't make.
Look how tiny you got. You can still see it.
And this is. I mean, I know everyone criticizes adopting the AE map for whatever reason, but this is the obvious, easy way to depict what he's saying. He's like, and I agree with this. This is what appears to be the sun doing what it's doing.
Not for nothing, I've seen weather balloon footage or balloon footage that the camera pans from one side, like the sun. You see the sun on one side, then it completely pans to the other side, and it really does look like this is what's going on. Like, it looks like the two bodies are in this, above the Earth, and they're just rotating. I mean, you don't see the rotation obviously in the video, but I mean, just the way the movement is, it kind of looks like this to me.
And all the eclipse will be is the solar eclipses when the moon catches up the sun or the sun catches up the moon, whichever way you want to perceive it, depending on whether we're relatively moving or whether we're subjectively moving. But basically, one catches up the other, passes the other, and then we start the cycle again. That's all it seems to be. And I totally agree with this. Forget about the shape of the Earth. This is just what appears to be the movement of the sun and the moon.
Like the hands on a clock.
Yeah, exactly like the hands on a clock. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, it really does seem like we're in a giant timekeeper.
Yeah, because the sky resets after every year?
Are you guys familiar with the Antikythera mechanism?
I've heard of it, yeah.
No, I can't say that.
Yes, go on.
The Antikythera mechanism is basically a clock, but it's all cogs, all that move together. And what it does is it predicts the frequency of all of the celestial movements, apart from the sun. I think the sun's missing from it, but everything else is on it. So you've got like Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars. Well, not Earth, but Mars. And it shows the mechanism that basically, you know what, when people say that a frequency is described as clockwork, it puts the stars or the celestial bodies in the night sky into a clockwork mechanism that predicts the frequency. And that's really what we see. We see a frequency. Now, yeah, you can say that the planet's in a solar system, but fundamentally, the Antikythera mechanism is proof that whatever is up there in the sky runs as a clock. It acts like a clock. It runs as a clock. You might as well call it a clock, and that's proof that it's not. You can model it on a flat plane equally as much as you can model it on a solar system, equally as much as you can model it on a clock.
Yeah, you know, actually, I had a thought that maybe even what if the ISS, right? What if they just found a light that they saw moving and they just labeled it a space station, but it's actually a moving body, but it's moving much faster.
I do think the ISS is a thing up there. It is a tin can, because that was my baptism of fire with Red's rhetoric. My first ever hangout with Reds was, "Can you explain this?" And it was a picture that my mate took on his telescope that he gave to me on WhatsApp. And I said, prove to me that that's the ISS, because it didn't look like it at all. It looked more like a bumblebee with wings. And somebody in their hangout had a 3D animation that got the ISS orientated exactly the way that my picture had it. And I was like, shit, they managed to explain it. But that put me back by about 6 months. But ultimately, the ISS does appear to be up there. It does appear to be a mechanical construct.
But not with people, not with roommates.
No, not with people in it. No, I agree.
And with that, I'm going to say first and foremost, a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of the live audience for tuning in and hopefully sharing this debate. And of course, a massive thank you to all of the debating panel for making this debate possible. If you hated the show, then you know exactly what to do. But if you like the show, maybe consider sharing it with a friend or subscribing if you've not done so already. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!